Booba dooba doo. Booba booba dooba doo. Booba booba boo boo. Ba ba ba. Ba ba ba. Ba ba ba. Hi everyone, and welcome to another edition of Let Us Argue, where I go online, I accept your hot takes, unpopular opinions, and tough questions. I respond to the best ones, and yeah, that's basically what we do here. It's literally what we do. Let's go! Blueface is example how imagery and visuals can propel your career no matter how bad the music is. I mean, I would disagree, but maybe not for the reason that you think I may. For one, the visual element attached to Blueface, what little there is so far, is not so mind-blowing that all of a sudden, like, it would put him ahead of every other rapper out there. No, in fact, it is Blueface's music that is attracting people to him and causing commotion around him. The thing is that it's just not all good commotion. A great majority of the comments and responses I see on Blueface have to do with his music and mostly have to do with his rap style, because for the most part, on songs, he sounds like he's 30 seconds ahead of the beat, or like he's trying to race the beat to the finish of the song. I get how you might come across Blueface's music and see that there's a lot of traffic going to it and then hear it and say, wow, this is like really terrible. Why is this so hype? No, I mean, the fact that it sounds weird is what's attracting people to it, and it's why it's become a topic of conversation. You know, you may not like Blueface's sound, but I don't think you could really argue it's anything else other than his sound that's attracting people to what he does. The death of That Is the Plan revitalized your YouTube career. Interesting take. Never heard this take before. I don't know if I could really sort of say at this point if it's had a positive or negative effect on what I do ultimately. Maybe the whole situation surrounding the closing of my meme channel did create a net positive, but I guess I'm still like too close to everything to not sort of associate it with like one of the worst times and most unfun times of my life. Oingo Boingo is the best new wave band of all time, yes, even better than New Order, and Nothing to Fear is the best new wave album of all time. The fact that the band is only remembered for a few mediocre songs is a travesty, when everything up to Boingo is fantastic. I mean, Oingo Boingo was a pretty decent new wave band, but did they have the most cutting edge sound? I don't think so. Some of the weirdest aspects of their whole shtick they just ripped off straight from Devo. Not only that, but Little Girls is like one of the creepiest, perviest songs I've ever heard in my entire life. I'm sorry, but it is. It's pervy as hell. Yeah, I mean, personally, I would rather just listen to Depeche Mode or New Order, Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, hello? New supergroup, Ed Sheeran and 3-6 Mafia. Thoughts? I would give you some thoughts, but to think about this possibility for any extended period of time would seriously rot some portion of my brain. I don't frigging know what part it is right now, but yeah, my brain would literally just crumble as if like acid was just melting it or something. When are you filming in your backyard again? I would like to think I'm gonna start doing it again in 2019. Be patient with me. The Shrek 2 soundtrack didn't need to go that hard. Let's just see how hard it went. 1. Accidentally in Love, Counting Crows. Not very hard. Holding Out for a Hero, Frou Frou. Changes, Butterfly Boucher featuring David Bowie. It's like a cover. As Lovers Go from Dashboard Confessional. God, that's so 2004. Funky Town from friggin' Lips Inc. Okay, don't see that one everywhere. Richard Price, I'm on my way. Eels, I Need Some Sleep. Pete, Yorn, Ever Fallen in Love. Tom Waits, Little Drop of Poison. Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds, Eddie Murphy and Antonio Banderas doing a cover of Livin' La Vida Loca. Jennifer Saunders again Holding Out for a Hero. Damn, bitch. That soundtrack did go hard. That soundtrack went hard. Tell me you wouldn't hit this soundtrack. Tell me you wouldn't hit this soundtrack. Antonio Banderas and Eddie Murphy doing a Ricky Martin cover sounds like one of Hollywood's greatest abortions, and I'm glad Shrek 2 is the reason it exists. Taylor Swift used the Kanye interruption to launch the second wind of her career. Kanye was standing up to award ceremonies for being whitewashed, and then the media took that moment and spun it as black man steals moment from innocent white lady. It's been her MO ever since. I know in her last album release cycle, Taylor Swift really put an emphasis on the whole her versus Kim versus Kanye thing. It was so about her reputation. It was so about the drama. But honestly, with 1989, the whole rollout seemed relatively drama-free. I don't honestly know if you can say that Taylor Swift used that situation to make people interested in 1989. I mean, people like 1989 just because it's a catchy pop record. Even if that whole Kanye thing didn't happen, it still most likely would have been a relatively successful record. Because outside of the whole Kanye thing, it was a pretty momentous occasion in the music industry to have one of the biggest country pop crossovers in modern history just sort of going full pop. That being said, though, I mean, Kanye, sure, I agree with what you're saying here, that maybe what he was saying here came from a good place. He was trying to make a point. I think there are about a dozen different ways Kanye could have made the stand that he did without necessarily making it almost seem like a direct attack against Taylor Swift. Because in the way that he went about it, it's not really that the media sort of flipped the narrative in an unfair way. Kanye made it really easy for the media to spin it in that direction and ignore the underlying message of what he was trying to get out there because of just the way he went about it. And I do think when you are advocating for change, when you are trying to point out something that is unjust or unfair, there has to be some room there for tact and for awareness of how you're getting your message out there, how it's going to spread, how you're delivering it, how people are going to take it. Getting people to understand that a societal norm is a problem and should be changed can be difficult when your attack on the issue becomes sort of about you or about the spectacle that you've created as opposed to the issue that you're trying to highlight. While it's obvious that André 3000 is a great rapper, Big Boi is almost in the same league and in some respects better, and it's unfortunate he doesn't get enough attention. Yeah, I mean, some of the best verses and performances on Outkast records are Big Boi's performances, but I think with André, it's sort of easier to look back on everything that he's done and sort of put a bit of a halo effect on it because he hasn't gone on to drop some subpar projects in the same way that Big Boi has. I mean, I like and I admire the fact that Big Boi solo has continued to put out music, continue to stay creative, continue to venture outside of his comfort zone and collaborate with other artists. That's great. You know, it's awesome that he's still active. But I think André, it's just, again, easier to sort of almost see any and all of his efforts as perfect because he almost left us with just like a really good-looking corpse in that, you know, he's very selective with everything he has put out since his days in Outkast. All of his features are like really exclusive and are typically very high quality and interesting. I think the fervor around André's talents a lot of the time has to do with his incredibly high batting average, not only because the dude's super talented, but he's really kind of avoided any and all situations where he could potentially blemish it too. You will never do Outkast worst to best because you know they're all number one. You know, you're going to be in for a rude awakening, dude. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is useless. I mean, I would like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame to become a little bit more current, a little bit more, I guess, cutting edge, induct some more people every year so that they can, you know, kind of tribute the people that need to be tributed and maybe get with the times a little bit more. But, you know, as far as like significant points and artists in the world of music, I think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame can serve as like a guest book. You're a significant artist that left a massive mark on the industry, you know, you signed the guest book. Macklemore was made a rap villain when he won Grammy over Good Kid, Mad City. His career would have gone in a completely different direction if he wasn't trying to make up for being a hugely successful white rapper and just had fun making music instead. Look, I've commented on this before. Macklemore, I think, definitely did himself a disservice by sort of just like groveling and basically trying to apologize for the Grammys, giving him the Grammy over Kendrick Lamar. I mean, yes, sure, there are biases at play in that situation, but you're not necessarily in control of them or anything. I think the position that he should have taken is just to roll with it and maybe next time around just make a better record or something. But even though that whole Grammy situation didn't exactly roll out all that well for Macklemore, I think ultimately what killed his career is that his subsequent albums past the heist just weren't that good, especially his latest record. His latest record kind of sucks. I think if his latest album were good, there'd still actually be reason to celebrate and be excited for Macklemore, but really, truly, there isn't any reason to be excited anymore because his songs are not that great. Anti-pop is just a term created so that music snobs can get around admitting that they like pop music. Who invented this term? Who uses it? In where can I see this term being used regularly by anybody? The only anti-pop I'm familiar with is that Primus record. And, I've had tons of musical conversations with a lot of people, some who are hardcore music fans, people who know more than me, people who produce or just make music for a living, and I haven't heard any of them use the term anti-pop in any serious fashion. Like, oh, wow, have you heard that new anti-pop record? Oh, yeah, I have, dude. It's dope as fuck. Yeah, I'm not familiar with what you're referring to here. And I think I'm just going to have to leave it at that. This has been another edition of Let's Argue. Thank you for watching. Over here next to my head is another Let's Argue that you can watch. Hit that up, or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, music, 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 forever, forever.